All right, let's hear it from the man himself.
I want some nasty. Are we having fun yet?
Okay, so as you guys know, I am huge on our draft picks, just absolutely huge on them, and I've been a big fan of Jeremy Sochan for a very long time. But with that being said, I think it's more important to listen to what our boy Brian Wright has to say about these picks, because I can sit back and I can rave about them all I want, and I can say how all of this works, but honestly, it only matters what the front office thinks. So let's see what he was thinking when he took these picks. And honestly, I think that these were phenomenal picks. One thing I want to point out as well, just before we go into it, and we're gonna straight up react to it, right? But before I talk about this, I just want to point out that we're very honest. Our front office is very honest. Now, a lot of people say that they're quiet. Obviously, we are. We keep things in wraps, but they are very honest when you ask them about their take. So I'm not going to take anything he says with a grain of salt. Even if we think back of R.C. Buford, his last pick being Luka Samanic, which was terrible. Technically, his last pick was Keldon, but come on. But with Luka Samanic, he was very open even then, saying, "Hey, you know, he has a lot to work on, and there's a lot of red flags here, and we're just hoping that he can project into, you know, a good player, maybe even a Porzingis type." He didn't say that, but obviously that's what he was kind of getting at. So yeah, I understand, and it's all about going into the certain trends, but they're very open. So if they pick a player and they have some major flaws that they want to address, our front office will say it. They'll be completely honest. So let's go ahead and listen to what he has to say about our boy Jeremy Sochan. So that's the first question. How do you feel about Jeremy Sochan? And then he talks a little bit about Malaki.
With the number 9 pick, what do you like most about Jeremy?
Besides the hair? No, the versatility. Yeah, as you see now, teams playing smaller and guys being able to guard multiple positions, do different things on the floor. We think he complements the group really well.
And the Spurs, and one thing that a lot of people say about the Spurs that is just completely false is that we don't necessarily get with the times sometimes. Like, they do that with Popovich all the time. Like, Pop needs to get with the times. Pop needs, and he absolutely does. The Spurs are very trendy, okay? Tim Duncan, the reason why he was able to be so efficient throughout the years, throughout 3 decades essentially, different areas of basketball, is because the Spurs always adjusted. No matter what, they made the right adjustments. The San Antonio Spurs in '99 look completely different in 2014, and they always been like that. They've always kind of trended towards whatever's going around the NBA, because that's how you stay relevant, and that's how you keep getting dubs, or at least you can start getting dubs again. Another thing as well, that kind of adds on to my point of everybody that wanted us to go after Jalen Duren or Mark Williams. Guys, those are more so traditional bigs, and in today's NBA, you're perfectly fine getting one of those type of guys in free agency and using somebody like Sochan, who's way more versatile.
And he's a connector, right? He connects you on both ends of the floor. He can pass, he can think, he's physical, he's willing to guard multiple spots, he's unselfish, he's coachable, he's all the things that we identified that we wanted to add to this team. And he's a little fun, you know, when you throw in the hair. So we really enjoyed our time with him in Chicago when we sat down, and then when he came in for his workout, and we think he'll be a great addition to the group.
And that's another thing as well. So I wasn't expecting us to take, and I don't think he mentions Blake Wesley here, but I was not expecting us to take Blake Wesley. Not that I didn't like him. It's just one of those things where I just wasn't expecting it at all. Now, the thing is, these workouts, they are very important. I think they're more important than the interviews, honestly. The workouts are stupid important, and apparently from what we kind of were getting at, especially from different reporters on Twitter and everything, is that Blake Wesley was stupid competitive. Like, when he went up against Malaki Branham, at least they were doing their workout together, he was very competitive, and they love that competitive nature of him. So I'm just going to assume that it was the same thing with Sochan, in which the workout just went phenomenal, and they were like, yeah, this is the guy that we want.
Got such a unique story about how he came to be here. Like, does that fit into it at all, or does it, like,
Absolutely.
cultural fit kind of thing?
You look historically with the guys that we've had here. He kind of reminded me a little bit of Boris. You know, he's just kind of worldly in that. And so his interest in hearing about how he thinks about basketball, but life outside of basketball really lined up with kind of what we hope to be and what we hope the environment and culture to be. So
that's also a continuous theme of the Spurs. They always kind of ask that question, like, what do you think of basketball, like outside of, or what do you think of life outside of basketball? Like Papa take people out to dinner, you know, have some wine. They're too young for that, but he'll take them out to dinner and talk to them about, you know, how, you know, what do you see your life like, you know, after basketball, you know. And these things are important because they can translate to the court. If you kind of have the personality of being unselfish, a more of an understanding of other players, it fits well with us, especially if you're bringing in people that have, well, it's the NBA, they have different backgrounds and you're going to have to relate to them. And if you're going to be a true leader on a team, you have to understand where they're coming from. And that's what makes Popovich a great leader. And hopefully that's what's going to make Sochan a really good leader. So
we think he's going to add both on and off the court.
Were the other two first-round picks kind of similar?
Oh my God, what is this? What was that?
Yeah, we had a little inside track on Malaki. So my high school teammate was his assistant coach at Ohio State. So we had pretty good information.
That is so interesting. I love hearing connections like that. That is so interesting. So this is kind of their love child right here.
Information on that one, a little insider trading, but you know, we didn't think he'd get to 20, but he's a guy with a lot of upside. He came on strong in Big Ten play. We think he's a 3-level scorer. He's very efficient, very smart. Knows his game and doesn't try to do things that he's incapable of. And again, he's smart, tough, competitive, and coachable. And those are all things that we were looking to identify in this draft.
And we knew about the competitive part. So we really did know about the competitive part. So that's huge. That is actually a really big deal. One thing I want to just point out, and it'll just be really quick. So the whole thing with Malaki, okay, him saying basically all the things he said, he's a 3-level scorer. He knows his strengths and weaknesses. Basically what he's saying is he's self-aware. He's a smart player. And he's very self-aware. And that was one reason why, especially when the draft came near, I really didn't want us to take, and I know this is off topic, but take Shaedon Sharpe, because I don't think Shaedon Sharpe was very self-aware. And while he had that talent, I just don't think that he's aware of what he does well. Like a lot of interviews were like, oh, you know, I do a little bit of everything. I do defense and offense. It's like, no, you're not considered a good defender. What are you talking about? Or how he said that he's going to be the greatest player of all time. It's just so, like, it's just a lack of self-awareness that I just don't think is going to be able to last if you're playing for the San Antonio Spurs. You got to be aware of what you do well. You have to be aware of what your weaknesses are, because you have to grow on that. And a lot of players, as you've seen, that come to Spurs and leave, oftentimes they're just not self-aware. It's just a lack of self-awareness. If you guys remember, DeMarre Carroll, when he came to the San Antonio Spurs, it was kind of lack of self-awareness, honestly. The reason why things didn't work out, he just wasn't necessarily good enough to get the minutes that he really thought that he deserved. And once he left the Spurs, you know, he didn't have, you know, a great showing. So all I'm trying to say is Spurs absolutely need people that know what their strengths are, know what they need to work on, and it's the only way you can truly grow. Oh my goodness. It's the only way you can truly grow. But anyways, I'll give it to you guys later. I just wanted to talk about this with you. If you want to support the channel, it's only $2 per month. Patreon, YouTube members, link in the description for that. All right, guys, until next time, deuces.